Hey guys, it is July 12th of 2020, and I thought maybe I would do an update and talk about some things that I know I have forgotten about mentioning through my videos. Um, so, coronavirus, let's just get that out of the way. Tony and I have been basically quarantined since the start. Uh, when they shut down the schools, she came home. We've only gone to the store when it's been necessary, and we always wear a mask. And in the beginning, we were wearing gloves too, but we ran out. And my family believes it's a hoax. Um, so we have not been around them. My mom doesn't. I don't really know what my sister thinks. She stays home and she won't go around her girls because she knows they're around everybody, their families. But I have not gone to any birthday parties of the kids' or anything like that because you just don't know who they've been around or who they've been exposed to. So we've been pretty good at watching ourselves. Now, it's going to start. And I'm sorry, I've been out in the sun, and so uh, I've got a slight headache, and so, allergies, swelling, all that stuff. And I'm getting old. But to go back to Corona, we had a friend who was on hospice. Actually, she went into the hospital in April and came out, and her and her wife are very good friends of ours. In fact, her wife and I have been friends since like 80, maybe not, I'm not 80, but not like 92, something like that. Anyway, so she struggled to get better. She had kidney disease, uh, and she had a pacemaker put in last year. She had congestive heart failure disease, and so anyway, about the end of May, she decided to go on hospice. She was 20 years older than my friend, and the world to my friend. So anyway, it got to where she was falling, and I would get a call, and I was able to pick her up. She's a bigger woman, and so I'd go over and pick her up, and she just says, I can't do this anymore. She wasn't getting better, really. Her kidneys were at stage 4 before she had to go on dialysis, and she did not want to go on dialysis. So she asked my friend if she could be at home and never go to the hospital again. So she went on hospice, and she passed away on June the 23rd. That night, my friend's nephew and his wife, who's an RN, came over and brought her dinner to be supportive and all that. She doesn't have any children. And so we went over a couple days later because she wanted to talk to a certain bunch of us about funeral, things like that. Needless to say, we got a call over the weekend, that was on a Friday, that her nephew called her and his wife's mother and sister tested positive for corona, and that she was getting tested. And so we got a call that following Monday. She tested positive. So my friend went and tested Monday night. We self-quarantined at that time. We were experiencing symptoms like allergy symptoms. I had no taste for a couple days, and Tony was really sick, but she gets that way when her allergies hit her really hard. And we were out in the pasture, and they were spraying all around us and stuff, so we just kind of took it like that. Well, we talked to my friend, ended up positive, and it kicked her. She got it in the head and the lungs. She didn't have to go to the doctor though. So we self-quarantined, and unfortunately Kaiser did not someone in Kaiser dropped the ball because we talked to a doctor and we were high risk because I had valley fever and Tony's had cancer. And so he said he was referring us to get a lab test to be tested. And we hadn't heard anything the whole week. I finally called and, oh, he did put that in. I'm sorry we didn't call you and da-da-da. Long story short, we tested. I was worried because it was so far out since we were exposed that we got tested that it wouldn't show. And they said even if it doesn't show, we could do an antibody. And bottom line is, all it's going to do is say, yeah, you had it, but you got through it. So anyway, we got the results and we both tested negative. So I told Tone, let's just look at it as allergy. I'm sorry, guys. You guys know how this happens every time. I must use a lot of brain cells when I do these videos to have to get the oxygen back into my brain like I do. But anyway, so that's it on Corona. The only thing I can say, guys, is please, if any of you don't take it serious, I just read an obituary of a guy I worked with who was only 2 years older than me that died from the coronavirus. And he was a healthy guy. He was not overweight. He was a pretty good, healthy guy. And his family's really saddened and shocked. But it's not no laughing game. You could be in good health and still die from this. I know how bad I was with the valley fever, and when this taxes your lungs, that's where people are going to the hospital and ending up on ventilators. So please wear your mask. Wear your mask to save you, and wear your mask if you're going around people who don't care to save other people from you. So that's all I'm going to say about that. So here's a few things. I was told at the lab when I had my testosterone levels done just here recently that they have found that when tested for testosterone, that if they test before 10 o'clock in the morning, that is your true level. That if it's after 10 in the morning, your body starts using it up and it starts going down some. So I had my test done before 10 and I am finally balanced. I think my level was 567. That's a good level for me for the age that I am. The estrogen was only 29. It wasn't up to the 40s. I'm okay with these levels. I'm not going to worry about it anymore. Now that I understand that those little doses, those little vials here, 200 milligram vials, only use what your dose is and throw the rest away. That's what they told me. Do not use it. It does not have a preservative in it. I'm like, well, why didn't someone tell me that 8 years ago? I mean, anyway. So those are kind of a couple things that I wanted to get out of the way to let you guys know if you're just starting out on testosterone and you're drawing and shooting yourself. It comes in a white box with a purple stripe at the top, a dark purple. I don't have one right in front of me. I'd show you. I think I showed it on the last video and shared this information to you. So anyway, what is going on? I mean, it's going to be 9 years in December. I mean, wow. It's hard to believe, but yet the journey has been not a hard journey, but it's been like a roller coaster with my levels not being good at times and fighting the doctors and changing doctors and then the surgeries. I've gone through all the surgeries good. Got some keloids on my chest, but my skin does that. You can see, I don't know if you can see but there's a keloid all around, a little tiny keloid around my donor arm, and that's just what I do. So it's just amazing, since we moved here in this house and the lifting I've had to do. I'm talking big 4x6 sheets of tile and wanderboard and glue and mud that I would hoist up and throw in my truck and carry it down the steps here to get into my truck. Being able to heft cement bags with no problem. Now, I was strong before, but when we moved here and I was hauling these tile sheets out, that made me realize how much more the testosterone has affected me. I I have just blossomed into a more confident person, just in how I react to things that break down around here. I just do them, and I had a lot of experience prior of DIY, doing it yourself things, and that brought me to here. But now I understand why dads and grandpas seem like they can just take care of anything because they've had all these years of experience. So if they've never really done plumbing, they know the concept, they understand the concept of it, or electrical. The kind of, I mean, anybody with a concept can do anything, but it's just amazes me. Broken sprinkler, a broken water line. Okay, go dig it up. Let's go fix it. Let's go get the parts. Let's figure out what size of line it is. Da da da. Putting the round pin up, and figuring out how to keep it stable and stuff. We just built a 12 by 16 foot shed for our hay. I built the patio on my old house, 14 by 40 foot patio, coded, permitted. So I built the shed the same calculations, and I didn't get a permit on it, but I'm not worried about it damaging or hurting anybody. It's not to live in. And I know the winds aren't going to take it away. That thing isn't moving. We just had an earthquake aftershock here that registered pretty good because our whole house, swayed and didn't budge that shed. So it just, when I look in the mirror, and like I haven't shaved. Out here, every couple of days I'll shave because it starts itching me. And I had Tony just give me a haircut. I told her to go as short as she could without shaving it. So, and I always look a lot uglier in shorter hair. I don't know what it is, or I just look at myself and thank God you look older. But yeah, just the muscle. I mean, I haven't lost any fat. I'm 20 pounds heavier than I was when I had my phalloplasty, and I actually gained about 17 pounds when they tried me on that gel that depleted. I mean, I just had no testosterone in my body. And then I started on the shots, and it almost like I hit puberty again, all those feelings and stuff. And the weight gain started coming on again. I was like, oh my gosh, man, why can't I get away from this weight thing? But I just look at, me as a man, and I think, what would my dad think, if he saw me? Just seeing me. Didn't know who I was. In fact, I gotta tell you, I was on a, Kaiser invited me to be on a transgender platform where we shared our experiences and our struggles and our happies. And One of the good friends that used to run the races, 5Ks, 10Ks, half marathons, marathons, when Tony did, uh, he's a gay guy, and his name was Mike, and I could have swore I saw him in the audience, and I thought, what's he doing at Kaiser? He was at the Sizzler, you know? Well, he was over there the day that we all got together for the passing of my friend, and or our friend. And he was like, oh, yeah. I said, well, you used to know me as, oh my God. He kept looking at me. I go, what's up, Michael? What? He goes, oh, and then I asked him, I said, Michael, do you work for Kaiser? He goes, yeah. I said, I was on one of the platforms speaking about transgender. He goes, I knew it. You are so well spoken. You did so good up there that we went back to our office and was talking about you. Da da. I said, and you had no clue who I was, huh? He goes, no. He goes, you look great. He goes, oh, I can't wait to tell the girls. It's just like, yeah. So that kind of felt. I mean, that felt good. We just had one of Tony's peers that she used to work with come by. They were cruising around, and Tony told them to stop by, and they had come to our house for a football party just before I started transitioning. And he's known, they kept in touch about my transition, but they hadn't seen me. And just as they left, I said, how long has it been? Wasn't it before I started transitioning that I saw you guys? And they go, yeah, you look so good. And he goes, I loved your hair. It's feeling it so good and all this. And they were making compliments and stuff. But I heard Tony and his wife say something about me. So when they left, I asked her, and she said that she can see you're a lot happier. And I said, oh, yeah. Because it shows. When you're happier, it shows. I'm so thankful I have the opportunity to be who I authentically am. I look back on my life and the things that you just accept because there's no other way out. You don't understand it. My family, I was afraid, of what they thought and what they think, because my family was close knit and my grandma was controlling and had the religion and everything behind us. And so, but the older I got, the more questioning I got about the whole thing, religion, everything, and about that life isn't black and white. Instead, it's all shades of gray, and there's nothing wrong with grays. Uh, Especially if you've got it figured out and you try to approach the new dilemma or the new awakening in your life, either way, in a positive way. And what I mean, like, if it becomes a dilemma in your life, if it's something that I don't know what to use as an example, but something that's not so positive in your life, you just found out something, or maybe an internal illness or uh, something that isn't right with your body, not talking about gender identity, just anything. It all depends on how you react to it and how you try to make a positive out of it. If you're the kind that does the positive, or if you're the kind that wallers and becomes a victim. For me, in my life, with all the struggles, being in the closet for 11 years, and in those 11 years being in 2 relationships with heterosexual women and children, and not being able to talk to anybody. I didn't even have a gay friend. I didn't even know what really gay was. And I just knew that there's a bigger picture, there's a reasoning for everything. So I thought, well, I don't know what the reasoning is. So I try to make the best out of everything. I try not to be the victim. I try not to hate life because of the circumstances I was in, or because of my sexual orientation at the time and my biological self. My family soon didn't talk about it, but they never shut the door on me. And then when Tony and I got together, a lot of things changed because I just said, screw it. I'm going to live how I'm going to live. And they can love Tony and accept her as my partner, or they don't. And it still wasn't really talked about, but it was mentioned that on Facebook, we talked about the ceremony. We talked about when we actually became legal and all this stuff. And never got turned away, but they don't talk to me as much on Facebook. I have one aunt that really will be in contact with me, and she's the one aunt that I thought would be the worst because she seemed to me to have tunnel vision, and she was pretty adamant about the way she thought about things. So you never know what's going to happen in your life. If you're young and you're trying to figure out who you are and what you're about, stay positive in everything and have no expectations with other people. Don't expect your family to accept you. Don't expect your family not to accept you. When you have expectations of others, you're going to be disappointed. Okay? You got to go into this whole thing, whether it's sexual orientation, biracial or interracial, bisexual, queer. I don't even know all the names, and I apologize if I haven't mentioned your category or your label. But we all are human beings, and we all want to be loved, and we all want others to react to us with open arms. So understand who your friends are, how they look at things, how they feel about things. Understand your family, and sometimes just live in yourself, being a positive, happy-go-lucky person. Be caring and giving and not hold a grudge or carry revenge on your shoulders. If you lead your life as an example of how you want others to react to you, then they're going to love you, and they're not going to turn their backs on you, even if they don't understand everything, even if they don't agree with it. My family always told me, I don't understand it. Well, my one aunt, the oldest aunt, who probably the most respected because she's the oldest and done the most, she told me flat out that she doesn't understand it, but that she feels I've done the right thing for me. But I need to understand that she will always see me as so-and-so, a person who would fight for her family tooth and nail to the end. And actually, she didn't tell me that, she wrote it in an email. When she wrote me that, I had to realize that it was better for me not to keep seeking her approval. She said what she said. I understand what she said. That's how she can deal with it. And I need to allow it to be. So, by allowing it to be, I've stepped away and not gotten in contact with her anymore, only because I still will say something to try to justify myself, to try to get that approval. And I don't need that approval. It's just because she's my aunt and my family, and you want everyone to love you and accept you. I did that for me so there would be no pain, because my expectations, I'll always be probably disappointed because they're going to say something like that. They're not the type that really go out of the box. They don't have free will spirits per se. So on your journey, when you're figuring all this out, pick and choose who you feel will comprehend what's going on with you, that can kind of understand if they even don't understand, but they're open to understanding. They're open to accepting you as who you are. Um, I've had to do that my whole life. It's the only way that I knew I could cope and still survive instead of going into a victim way of life, becoming hard and angry at people, having a chip on my shoulder, treating people with a chip on my shoulder. And I just can't do that. Even in my worst of times, I can't treat people bad, lash out at them for no good reason. I'm not that kind of person by nature, but I've also molded myself into that kind of person. So this is a long video. I haven't really gotten a lot of stuff out, so I'll probably do another one here down the road a little bit later. Mainly I want to wish you all safe, healthy, uh, encouraging, uplifting environments. Protect yourself even if no one else does. Be kind to yourself even when no one is. And understand this too shall pass. Take it one day at a time. Always make your journey as simple as possible. We'll talk to you later.